Welcome to the ODDSBREAKER'S #1 place for shared sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 16 of 2021. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us at the ODDSBREAKERS and follow us on social media / the ODDSBREAKERS. This episode is being brought to you by mybookie.ag for a 200% March Madness sign-up bonus. Please visit MyBookie and use the promo code ODDS200. Terms, conditions, and location apply. If you'd like to help us out with our cost, sponsor the website and the podcast, we'd love to help you out. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com and click shop and become a member. For $24.99 a month, you can get my premium plays before the line moves. If nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com. Become a free picks newsletter subscriber. My friends, March Madness is here, and we have a fantastic show for you today because Brian Edwards from Major Wager and Vegas Insider is back to break down some of these conference tournaments and some of the games coming up here for Thursday and possibly a little bit on Friday. So, before Brian comes on, I just wanted to announce that we are looking for some more writers at the ODDSBREAKERS. If you're trying to get your name out there a little bit, maybe earn a little bit of money by doing it and giving out some plays or some articles at the oddsbreakers.com, please inquire with us on our Twitter or from our website under Contact Us, and we would love to respond to you to see if we can make this happen. My friends, don't forget to check out the oddsbreakers.com. Under value situations, we put out an article for our $500 giveaway NCAA tournament bracket challenge. All you have to do is retweet the latest podcast, send a screenshot of it, and send it to us, admin at theoddsbreakers.com, or write a 5-star review on your iTunes or Google Play or wherever you listen to podcasts, and take a snapshot of that and send it to admin at theoddsbreakers.com. We'd love to get this as big as possible. We would love to give away some money. So make sure you spread the word, sign up on the link, and fill out your brackets. 2 brackets max per household.
Duh. Winning.
Now it's time to bring on Mr. Brian Edwards from Major Wager. And now I'm very excited to welcome back a longtime friend of the show. You've heard him on many sports radio shows across the country. You can find some of his work on VegasInsider.com and MajorWager.com. I'm really happy to welcome back Mr. Brian Edwards from Brian Edwards Sports and Major Wager. You can follow him at VegasBEdwards. Brian, it's March. How's the madness treating you?
What's going on, Kiev? Thanks for having me. I had kind of a rough day yesterday, and I have been on the sidelines so far today, but I had a good this past weekend, so nothing great, nothing horrible. Yesterday was kind of horrible, but we move on.
Oh, dude, we sure do, and it's an everyday thing. And if we didn't have our bad days, we wouldn't have our great days. But that's what it's all about. And I'm hoping Miami wins this because I have a nice plus 330 and plus 9. It looks like it's going to happen unless overtime happens. So I'm crossing my fingers, man, because I need this. I did take a loss on NC State today. I got the over. But I'm praying, my man.
Yeah, those overtime underdogs are a bitch. I had West Virginia plus 4.5 to Baylor last week.
Everyone had that. Everyone had West Virginia.
And it was the right side. And I had Boise State plus 7 at San Diego State, the first of 2 games, whatever that was, 2 Thursdays ago. Mm-hmm. So I got 2 of those in like a 5-6 day stretch.
Oh, unreal. And for anyone watching video, if I turn my head like this, I'm just watching the end of one of these games. So please don't be.
And if I stand up, I'm looking at the score of that game.
There you go. Well, man, before we get into college basketball, I'd be very hard-pressed to not ask you your thoughts on the Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling shenanigans that went through our last weekend. I took a loss on Yan, and I took a loss on the total. I thought it was going over 4.5. It might not have went for over 4.5, but Jan was going to win that fight. What are your thoughts on the rule itself, the title change result, and if the UFC needs to make some adjustments?
Well, the thought of you having Jan is as bad a bad beat as the overtimes and OT underdogs like West Virginia and Boise that I mentioned. I actually had Sterling. He was actually my biggest bet of the night, and it was clearly an illegal knee. And I wasn't getting greedy, bro. I was just going, oh, I might get a no contest here. And, I'm not exactly I think that if I'm not mistaken, it is at the referee's discretion to determine whether it's a no contest or a disqualification, and then giving Aljamain the belt. Obviously, that matters big for gamblers. But in terms of just Jan and Sterling, I mean, they're running it back. And to your point about how Jan had, taken over the fight, the books have made Jan a minus 250 favorite for the rematch. He was just it was mostly pick 'em. I know it moved to like 125, 130 the day of the fight, but I mean, the rule is perfect. If you have a hand or your knee down, the only rule is you can't kick or knee to the head. That's considered a downed opponent. It's the right rule. I've never even cut weight, wrestled, anything, and I knew it was a foul. So any fighter should know it's a foul. Surely a champion should know it was a foul. You can't do that. I feel for bettors. It probably should have been a no contest, but
did his corner give him bad advice and say to kneel? I couldn't understand the language really.
Well, Cormier said that Khabib told him that one of the main coach said, just punch. And I think he might have said that in English. If I'm not positive.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But then one of the Russians was screaming, and Khabib told Cormier that one of the Russian coaches said, kick him. And then he kneed him, and it's over. And Khabib told DC he should fire his whole corner.
Okay, and here's my take, and I agree that it should be a disqualification. I think it's kind of weird that in an ultimate fighting setting that there's a rule where you can't finish an opponent a certain way. He could have just roundhouse, like just say in another situation, you could roundhouse the hell out of somebody, and it might affect almost the same as what a knee could do. I don't know. That's up to other.
You remember back in Pride way
fighting,
back where Rampage and Shogun. I remember there's a lot of highlights of Shogun would soccer kick somebody to the head. I mean, that's that's
a big. Yeah, and that makes sense, especially. But that's the ref should have called the fight in the first place. I mean, you're leaving it up to the fighter. If the fighter can't get hit, it's almost kind of like one of those weird things. But I get the rule for sure, and I think he should have been disqualified. What I don't understand is the title changing when he's winning on the card. Because here's the weird thing. Let's just say, and of course it didn't happen. He was dazed. He was done. I thought he was somewhat finished before that knee. But anybody in the future could say, well, look what Aljamain Sterling did. He got the title by not getting up. I'm going to choose to not get up, Well,
remember we had Anthony Smith and John Jones, and John Jones landed. I can't remember if it was a
elbow, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't. No, I want to say it was a knee to a downed opponent, and Anthony Smith said after the fight, he goes, "There's no way I was going to win the belt that way." Mm-hmm. But I don't blame Sterling. I mean, that was a clear knee to the head. But you might remember the Alvarez Dustin Poirier won when Alvarez landed an illegal knee, but they called that a no contest.
Right.
So that's what makes me think it's the referee's discretion.
I don't know why he would award it when Sterling was clearly losing.
He thought Eddie didn't do it on purpose, or that Eddie didn't know Poirier had a hand on the ground, whereas Jan, it was clear.
It was clear.
He might have even had a hand and a knee, or maybe even both knees.
I think both knees were and both hands were on the ground when that happened.
You only have to have one.
Yeah. And I think the ref made even a call that down. I think he said downed opponent.
He did say, downed opponent.
And I'm not sure if Jan would want to do anything legal. He sure as hell didn't want to lose his belt, but he was in the heat of a moment and made a terrible decision. I think it should be. He loses the fight but retains the title if he's winning on the scorecard, I guess. But I mean, this is just me bitching, right? I don't know. The thing is that, it's certainly a weird way to lose your title, and it's definitely a bad beat for anybody bet it. But good conversation anyway, Brian.
They're running it back, so
yeah. I mean, that's the important thing. They're running it back, and that's how it should be. Unfortunately, for anybody that likes Jan, laying minus 250 was a lot different than me laying minus 112 last week. So not super happy about that aspect of it, but that's life, my man. We've all been through our bad beats. Well, let's move on then to a little bit of these conference tournaments, if you'd like to chat a little bit about that, Brian. Let's start with the ACC. Now, we know that the ACC made the rims larger for Duke in Greensboro here. I mean, how else can you explain all the points that we've been seeing in these shots? Or maybe they grabbed a women's size basketball. I don't know, child size even. Does Duke even have a chance if they get to the final game to get to the NCAA tournament?
That would mean they would beat FSU, which would I think that most bracketologists had them in the first four out, even going into yesterday. I don't think a win, even in blowout fashion against a depleted Boston College team, does anything for you. But they've got Louisville tonight is I don't know if it's a quad one win, but it's a quality win, and then FSU's clearly a quad one win. So depending on how everything shakes out with everybody else, I think they would be in. I don't want them to get to the tournament, but I think if they win two more games against Louisville and FSU, I think that they'll be right there at the cut line. It'll be, if they don't get in, they'll be one of those alternate teams, because we know Coach K will say no on the NIT anyway.
Right. Yeah, Coach K won't go to the NIT. I don't think. Well, he might. I don't know. He should.
He won't.
Okay. All right.
Blame it on COVID.
Maybe it's not like he has anybody sticking around, right? That's worth the damn. Yeah, I mean, it's just a bad look to go to the NAT when you're Duke. It's like it's almost like accepted defeat, and I think sitting out from the NAT is probably better for your recruiting than even going. But I mean, I'd love to see Duke out, and I guess I'm a Duke hater. Call me what you want, but I'm just sick of hearing about them.
I am.
ESPN just won't shut their mouths. I'm sick of it. I think Coach K is a good coach. I'm not sure if he's a great coach. So we'll find out throughout this tournament a little bit more about that as well. So, I guess sticking with the ACC tournament here in Greensboro, is there anybody you like?
Man, Virginia's the top seed. I don't think they're playing very good basketball. No, I'm not really high on really anyone. I mean, FSU was really playing well, but now, they lose at Notre Dame, and the Saturday before they blew a big lead at North Carolina. I know those are true road games, but I mean, it's COVID. There's not like we got jam-packed crowds, and Notre Dame's had a really rough season. So FSU has lost 2 out of 3. I mean, I look at that conference and I see FSU probably gets to the Sweet 16. I don't know that Virginia gets to the Sweet 16. I don't like how they're playing right now, and I think it's a really down year for the ACC. Very down year for the ACC,
and I think that. And that's why I took Georgia Tech a few weeks back at 16-1. Then I look on Monday, one of the books gave it out 25-1. I pounded it again, and that's
the team that actually is pretty hot. But I just don't know what their ceiling is. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. And I think Florida State probably wins it all, or wins this. I'm down on Virginia too, but the Georgia Tech 25-1 he had to take, it went all the way down to 6-1 now. So am I bragging? Yes, I'm bragging. I took that sucker, and everybody should look at lines as soon as they first come out. There's missed prices everywhere. So I'm rooting for Georgia Tech, but I think Florida State's probably the team myself. So it sounds like we have some agreement there. Let's move on to the Big Ten tournament then, my man, a conference that I'm very familiar with. You follow it pretty well. And this one's played at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Now, Michigan's your top seed there, but they've been leaking some oil lately over the past few games, getting trounced by Illinois at home and then going to a so-so Michigan State team, and they really didn't seem invested and lost. So what are your thoughts on the Big Ten?
Yeah, I was saying that Michigan was like the best team in the country, and they were. And then Illinois goes into Ann Arbor without Io, although he was a factor on the bench in street clothes, certainly cheering his teammates on. But, I'm thinking Illinois is going to win this, and I've already taken them at plus 320. Now I want to say that Ohio State, the 4-game losing streak they're on is the most shameless 4-game losing streak I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they basically just went cold offensively down the stretch after leading Illinois a good chunk of the way. And
0 for 10 is what they went with 4 minutes left. 0 for 10, bro.
And similar against Illinois, and they were similar against Michigan. They just, that game was nip and tuck. I thought that was the best game I'd watched all year until Baylor, West Virginia last week. And that's funny you say 0 for 10 because I chronicled it, just rewinding the game last week, the Baylor, West Virginia. They, from like the 458 mark to the 110 mark of regulation, they combined to go 9 of 10 from the field, and I think 5 of 6 from the free throw line, if I'm remembering right. So, it was high level, and then just everybody's making every shot at crunch time. So anyway, I like Illinois, but I think Ohio State probably beats Purdue. Would love to see Illinois, Iowa again. There's bad blood. But keep in mind, we've got 2 very key injuries in this tournament. Eli Brooks for Michigan and Wieskamp for Iowa, their second best player behind Luka. I don't think either one of them is going to play. And if it's iffy, if I'm Juwan Howard or Fran, I'm definitely holding them out to the big tournament.
Yeah, me too. I think, Nunji, the backup, is out too, obviously, for Iowa. And, he was kind of given some rest there to the big guy. And now they have 2.
Frederick had missed a game, and I know he came back the other day, but he, may not be 100% either.
Right. No, he's not. Yeah, he's kind of been banged up the whole year, really, and here's the thing. They're going to Lucas Oil Stadium where the backdrops are going to be like a freaking cave. I mean, it's huge, and it's going to be dark around them. It's going to be tough to hit some shots. I'm really wondering about the unders in here, and some of them have adjusted down. But, Luka Garza being out, it doesn't have a great backup with Nunji out, the other 6'11" guy. And now you have Wieskamp, which is a pretty big guy at 6'6", is kind of out. And they're just going to rely on their shooting. And you can only go so far when you're on a neutral court for that. So they have the most downside. I will disagree, and I think Purdue is the team that's going to face Illinois. I do agree on the Illinois side, and I'll probably be doing a money line parlay or roll over with them. But I got Purdue at 12-1. It's at 6-1 in most books, but someone told me today that it was 11-1. They have the double bye, and Ohio State doesn't. So Ohio State probably wins, right? But I like Jaden Ivey too much for Purdue. The kid's a star, and he's just been playing better and better and better every single game. And he's a kid that can take it to the rim. He can take it to the hole. They got the height there with Zach Idney, and they also have Travion Williams there. And if Stefanovic is hitting, Purdue's got plenty of upside. And what else? I'm glad they're on the Michigan side. I don't want them to be on the Illinois side because, Michigan's coach Juwan Howard did a fantastic job, but this is his first Big Ten tournament here. And I am concerned with that, and especially with their injury, just like you pointed out earlier. And one thing I will say, I've been really hard on my Badgers the last 2 months, I would say. And
man, that's tough sledding in that league this year, buddy.
It is, and they've been shooting terrible. But I'm going to say watch this. I'm going to finally endorse them a little bit here. I'm not going to say I'm going to take them at 10-1 because a money line parlay is way better. But what I will say is they're going to be a dangerous dog because when you get a bunch of seniors that played in this tournament for 3 to 5 years already, they're going to be in there with a chip on their shoulder. And I don't know if you saw in the news about Greg Gard sticking up for Davison because the refs seem to single him out a lot with his calls ever since that NC State game 4 years ago. Ugh. But anyways, he gets it bad, and this team's going to rally, I think, and I think they're going to be dangerous. I'll probably be taking them as a dog, just as a play-by-play type thing, Brian. So I think your thoughts are similar though for Illinois. I think Illinois has got the biggest upside for winning it. And I think Purdue, if you can grab 11-1, 10-1, 8-1, you might be able to hedge that with your Illinois. Let's move on to the Big East tournament. Marquette's actually getting smashed right now, which ain't fun. I was kind of hoping I did take a small shot at 40-1 with them, and then I was going to do the money line parlay with UConn on the other side. Played at Madison Square Garden. Anything for the Big East. We all know Gillespie's out for Villanova.
Yeah, I feel horrible for Gillespie. Hell of a career for a senior year to end like that. That really sucks. I'm pulling up the bracket right now as I saw Georgetown. Yeah, you said they're putting it on. Marquette, boy, Xavier needs a win tonight in the worst way. And Butler's actually played pretty decent here the last couple of weeks. Obviously, that win over Nova, so that's not going to be an easy for them this evening. Okay, here we go. Let's see. If Posh Alexander said he was going to play earlier today against Seton Hall, so that makes me like St. John's there. And without Gillespie, I would not be shocked if St. John's beats Nova. And if they do, they obviously they'll be in position to get the automatic bid. But if they were to win, if they beat Seton Hall and Nova and have a close loss to a UConn or a Creighton, that might be enough to get them on the correct side of the cut line, perhaps. Any thoughts here? Well, with Book Night back, I think UConn could be dangerous. But, I mean, Providence, Ed Cooley has got his team playing a lot better here in recent weeks. Is not a gimme. I haven't even looked at the odds here. I don't really have any major thoughts other than I will be on St. John's tomorrow.
All right. Well, there you go. St. John's free play for all you guys for tomorrow here. Next, let's move on to the SEC tournament played in what Brian likes to say, Nash Vegas. And I texted Brian yesterday. I'm like, what you got? And he didn't sound like he had any gas for the SEC. Now, I'll tell you this. There's not that good of odds out there for the SEC. Any quick thoughts on that one?
I think Alabama and Arkansas are the only two SEC teams that are going to make the Sweet 16, in my opinion. I could see Tennessee or Florida beating Alabama on Saturday, perhaps. I don't see Arkansas losing unless LSU. I mean, LSU can score 90 at any given game. They've got 4 elite scorers, and that freshman Cam Johnson, he is a professional bucket maker. But they play no defense and are so poorly coached, especially from a defensive standpoint. Tennessee is an elite defensive team, but they just struggle to get buckets. The Gators, we're okay. Look, I mean, when all that happened with Keyshawn Johnson, I was just kind of in a state of kind of throwing the season away. I just wanted him to live, and he survived. And then we ended up winning some games, and now we're going to go to the tournament. And I mean, I would take if you'd have told me on the Tuesday after the Keyshawn incident on Saturday that come March Madness, Keyshawn Johnson would still be alive, and that the Gators would win a tournament game and lose in the round of 32, I would go. Not only will I take that, I'll pay $500 for that.
Exactly, man.
I mean, that would work all day. So, but I don't think the Gators have Sweet 16 unless they play the game we played at West Virginia. If we play like that, we could beat somebody. But I mean, we're probably going to be in an 8-9 game, a 7-10 game, potentially, and so we're going to have a tough round of 32 opponent.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you right now, I agree with you 100%. I'm shocked. It's a win that the Florida Gators even made it this far. Tennessee's just been up and down, and their coach has just been such a bad tournament coach at the end. Such a horrible coach with Burns over there. And
let me tell you one stat on Arkansas that will floor you, because I know you're around my age and remember the Nolan Richardson era very well. When would you guess the last time Arkansas has been to the Sweet 16?
I'll just say 2005. I don't know. It's been a while.
96.
Jesus.
The second longest drought by any program in the SEC. The only drought longer is Georgia 95 when they lost that epic OT game on Jason Sapola's buzzer beater. Sapola, who dated Dr. Melfi of Sopranos, and that was that John Wallace team that got to the finals before they lost to Kentucky in 95.
Look at that little trivia. Well, I do like Arkansas to win it, but I mean, I don't love plus 300 that much. It's okay. I guess it's comparable to Illinois. If you want to take it, grab it, do a parlay. I'll be betting on Arkansas probably.
Hey, little bad blood. That was a testy game in Fayetteville a couple weeks ago. There's some bad blood brewing with Alabama. So I hope we get that on Sunday, because the Gators not getting the double bye. I don't want to play 4 games in 4 days. I want to beat I think we play the winner of the game tonight with Vandy and A&M, and then we get Tennessee. And if we win those 2 games, great. I want to lose a close one to Alabama, get back to Gainesville Saturday night, relax, chill, watch the show, be ready to go hard at practice Monday morning. I do not want my team getting back to Gainesville Sunday night having played 4 games in 4 days. Next week's more important.
There you go. I absolutely agree with that. Good stuff. I mean, that's the other for the Big 12. I don't have much. I think there's just so many good top-heavy teams there. Kansas at plus 500. What the hell? I mean, I was on a show earlier today. They win at 73% of the time over the past 30 years or something. They win this Big 12 tournament, man.
However, one of their best players is out because of contact tracing. David McCormick. Okay. Kansas starting center is out. He averages 13.4 points, 6.1 rebounds, team high, 1.0 block shots per game. He is out for the tourney. Self says he's pretty confident that he's going to be able to play next week in the big tournament, but he's out. So in my mind,
no show.
KU's not going to win the tournament. I will say Oklahoma State is hot as a flipping firecracker, and I don't know what future odds you've seen on this team. If you can get them better than 25-1 to win the big tournament, and they're plus 800 to win this tournament, and Cunningham and the other guy who's been hurt have been cleared and will play tomorrow, and West Virginia's favored by 3. I like Oak State in that game, but I love both of those teams in general. West Virginia and Oak State are both legit Final Four contenders, and they play tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. early for you. What is that?
I'm not getting up, man. I'm going to DVR it and then just maybe I'll wake up for the second half with some. No, I got babies, man. I got a 2-year-old. I'll be up. So believe it or not, the East Coast people like me because I'm up pretty early. Maybe not as much on Sunday, but let's just say after a few brewskis on Saturday. But I'm usually up pretty dang early throughout the week, my man. But let's talk a little SEC here. And I got 4 games that I'm projecting the lines. It's simple to do. You just look at Ken Pom and then you adjust it how you think it's going to move. I got Mississippi State versus Kentucky, and I got Kentucky probably about a 2 to 3 point favorite, and I'm thinking like a 132 total on this. Any thoughts on that game coming up tomorrow?
Yeah. The line is out, and I think you nailed it. I think it is 2.5 and 130 and 1/2.
Okay.
And I guess I don't love that game. I would slightly lean Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, Mississippi State was hot for a while, and red hot, and then they just it's funny with college basketball. You gotta every team at one point plays out of their mind for a couple games in a row, right? And it's when they bust tickets. They go out there and mess people's tickets up, right? Or if you're lucky enough to just jump on them. But most of the time, the public doesn't jump on a team that it's going to change. They expect the same thing. And that's where Vegas, butters their bread, right? That's where, people come in and just bet what a team's been doing. It's hard to predict it, of course. I'm not saying it's easier by any means. But Mississippi State had that. But there's a difference between a good team that gets hot or cold or a bad team. I don't think Mississippi State's a good team. I just think that they had their little hot streak, right? As far as Kentucky, I can't say they're that good either because they have their problems. And, God, are they in the tournament, buddy? I don't know, Brian. No, I don't think so.
I mean, they've got a couple good wins. I mean, they won in blowout fashion at Tennessee and at Florida, but no, they have to win at all.
Oh, 9-15. What am I thinking? It's not even a question. I guess I was kind of thinking them as like a Duke or something. No, yeah, they're toast, man. But
yeah, they got to win it all in Nashville.
Does Coach Cal rally the troops? If you're a guy like Keon Brooks, Brandon Boston's been doing pretty good. I don't know. Does he rally the troops here? I think they might. Go ahead.
I think Coach Cal's he's shopping for another job, but in NBA. But I don't know if anybody in the NBA wants him. I will not be surprised at all if Cal leaves.
Yeah, I mean he's got some good qualities. He can motivate some kids, but he's also worked with some of the best kids out there too. So hard to tell from me. I don't know much about the NBA except they don't play a lot of defense, so they should draft LSU players. But on the other side of the coin here, I think I might play Kentucky here if it's under 3. So
I lean Kentucky.
All right, well there you go. Lean Kentucky from Brian. Georgia versus Missouri, and I see -5 here is kind of what I predicted. Maybe it should be 6, but I got
it's or circa opened at 5.5.
Okay, 5.5 total of 150. Is that right?
154. Oh, it looks like they might have opened at 151.5, but it's 154 now. I retired from handicapping Missouri games this year. I'm done. I had them against LSU Saturday. I'm done. I'm done with that squad. I'm absolutely done with them.
Dude.
I'm not facing them. I'm not backing them, and that's it.
Yeah, they're a team that when everyone's down on them, you got to be up on them. When everyone's up on them, you got to be down on them. They're just completely all over the place. And who knows? I mean, they could shoot if they could shoot a little bit better and not play haphazardly once in a while. They'll just kind of be a little bit erratic. I think they'd be a really good team. They would probably be in the conversation of the Alabamas, man. I don't know.
I mean, you look at their resume, they've got, they've beaten Oregon. They've beaten Illinois, even a pretty good Liberty team. They won by double digits at Arkansas, but then they lose by 15 at Mississippi State. They
lost to Georgia
handily by double digits.
Oh, I remember that game.
They lost at home to Ole Miss. I mean, you just never know what you're going to get out of those guys. Never.
Yeah, you don't. So I'm going to pass on that one as well. All right, and the next one I wrote down is some shitty team versus Florida. And I'm going to put Florida as a 7-point favorite-ish against either Vandy or A&M. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a look ahead here. Obviously, does it matter who they play here? Is Florida a play-on team? Is the question to me.
Well, I mean, look, if A&M, they didn't play one game in February, if I'm not mistaken, and their first game back, I think they'd only had a few days of practice. I think they lost by 6 to Mississippi State at home, and then they led in Fayetteville for like 35 minutes and were up double digits most of the first half, and they looked really, really good. And as far as Vandy, man, Vandy has been on an ATS run lately. Now, they barely didn't cover at Ole Miss the other night. But, they were missing Pippen, who's by far their best player. They were missing him for a couple games and still covered a couple of times. Vandy's on a nice ATS run. If Florida were to be double digits to either one of those teams, I think it would be underdog or pass, but I don't know that I'd do either.
When Disu went out, I kind of thought Vandy would take a bigger step back. I wonder what Stackhouse is going to do with that program over the next couple of years.
I think the way that they've played hard down the stretch here, I definitely think he gets a third year. But, the AD that hired him is long gone. And I didn't really realize it. Apparently he's made some really controversial remarks and, apparently went after some critics on Twitter calling them Trump voters or something. I don't really know what happened there. You'd have to look into it. But I don't know if that caused any controversy, but for a team playing out the string and having injuries, they've played hard down the. It played pretty good. I mean, they could have won that game at Alabama as well, 3 Saturdays ago. So I hope he gets a third year. He should. Well,
yeah, most coaches should, unless they did something real stupid. I guess being immature on Twitter is nothing new to some people. And, I mean, if you're going to do that, come on. Talk to Kevin Durant and get yourself a burner account. I mean, seriously, dude. It's not that hard. Oh, man. So, I mean, yeah, Florida. I mean, I probably would bet Florida anything under 7, but I don't know. We'll see where this thing comes out for Florida. And if they win too many games, Brian, I'll tell them to slow down for the NCAA tournament for you, all right?
Jeez. That happened one year. We got to the finals, and Matt Walsh, he had such a bad blister. The ball, the outer layer of the skin on the ball of his feet literally came off, and he could barely play in the tournament the next week. We lost to Manhattan in round 1.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Manhattan, man.
What was that coach's name? He ended up going to Seton Hall. Bobby Gonzalez, maybe?
That sounds about right. Manhattan from the MAC, or the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference.
AAC, right? Yeah.
AAC, the fraudulent MAC. Right. That's saying something when there's a fraudulent MAC out there. So, yeah, I actually bet those games because there used to be the few only games on Fridays, right? So I pay Iona, St. Peter's, Canisius, and Quinnipiac. Yeah, this gets a little fun. Well, my man, I mean, South Carolina versus Ole Miss, and Ole Miss should be around -6, I believe, and the total should be around 140. Ole Miss was great for a while, but then they faltered off too. So the question to me is, were they a good team that was hot or a bad team that was hot? I actually kind of think they were a pretty good team that was hot, and they were at 30-1, and now they're 20-1. I didn't bet it. I should have probably took them at 30-1. Just for some value in the tournament, maybe a little sprinkle, some beer money or something. But I don't know. I think they could be dangerous. Any thoughts on Ole Miss?
Well, I'll just say this: Frank Martin obviously took them to the Final Four in 2017, but I don't even think they've been in the NIT other than that. But for whatever reason, as bad as they normally suck, other than 17. they always seem to win a game or two as an underdog at this tournament. It seemingly happens every year. I don't have the stats to back it up, but you can just go back and if any of your listeners want to go back and look at it, and I apologize for bringing it up and not having
no worries.
The factoids. But South Carolina is always good in this tournament for whatever reason. I will say, but now urgency does not translate into success necessarily, but most bracketologists have Ole Miss in the next 4 out, or I've even seen one that had them in the first 4 out. So Ole Miss, if they win 2 games, they're in the combo, and if they win 3 games this week, maybe they get in. So they got plenty to play for, but that doesn't translate into success.
That's right. So good stuff, man. Let's quick touch on the UFC, and obviously UFC 260 is coming out, and then there's a UFC Fight Night 187, but they've changed the name of that as well, ESPN, whatever. But either way, main event, Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad, and Muhammad's a huge dog, plus 220, and I just want to say that it's going to be an interesting fight. Both fighters are pretty hungry to me, but the price is really telling you Edwards is going to win. Edwards is only bad loss, or I wouldn't even say bad loss, to Kamaru Usman. That's not even that bad of a loss, and that was way back in 2015. 29 years old here, man. 18-3. His only losses were by decisions and 1 DQ a long time ago. So
I counted the three piece in the soda from Masvidal. I know it wasn't in the octagon, but I counted that as a semi L. Do you remember that?
No.
After okay, so Masvidal knocks out Darren Till, and Leon Edwards was on the co-main event, and Masvidal is doing a post-fight interview backstage with Laura Sanko live.
Oh, they got I do remember something like that.
Edwards comes talking trash, and Masvidal's like, "Come say that in my face," and then he had his hands behind his back, and then he was just like, boom, 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 boom. And then when he was interviewing with Brett Okamoto later, he goes, "Well, I just had to give him the 3-piece and then the soda."
That's why everyone loves Jorge Masvidal, man. Dude, so okay, let's call him, let's just say 4 losses then. All right, so
I was kidding.
I mean, here's the thing. Bilal Muhammad, 18-3, 32 years old. He hasn't faced the same competition as Edwards, I don't think. He's fought some good fighters, just not the same. Not even close to the tier.
Not even close.
Yeah, because Edwards fought tier 1.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I will point this out. Edwards was supposed to fight Tyron Woodley in the UFC London headliner like 372 days ago. In other words, it was the first thing that got canceled UFC-wise, pandemic. And then he got booked multiple times, and always there was a visa issue, or Chimaev got COVID, and then he was whatever. Like Leon may have some octagon rust, whereas Muhammad just fought. He took this on short notice. He fought like 3 or 4 weeks ago and has been extremely active. So for whatever that's worth, if anything, I think Edwards is the better fighter. I just wouldn't risk all that chalk. I think Edwards,
for a guy that hasn't fought since 2019 in July, right?
Yeah, I'm just pointing out the cage rust, whereas Bilal has been active. But maybe cutting weight again, twice in 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know. Muhammad just fought like a month ago, somewhere in there.
Right. Well, I agree. And I mean, the thing that I look at mostly for this fight is that over 4.5 rounds. I mean, that's the one at minus 200. And I'll lay the minus 200. I mean, Edwards he's went the distance 11 times in his 21 fights. 5 of the last 6 against the better competition, of course, and Muhammad was 7 of the last 8. He's went the distance, I mean, I'll take it at minus 200 over 4.5 before I go to the decision at minus 190. A 10-cent difference when all the action can happen at the end, last 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Hell yeah. I'll take over 4.5 any day if it's only a 10-cent difference before decision, is the way I look at it, Brian.
I know Leon Edwards, I'm not looking at his resume right now. I know he went 5 rounds with Cowboy. I doubt Muhammad, unless it was in another promotion. I'm almost 90%, 99% positive he's never been in a 5-rounder in the UFC. So he could, if it goes to 4th and 5th, that could be uncharted waters for him. Fact check me on that.
Are you talking about Edwards or Muhammad?
Muhammad.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. But Edwards has.
Just with Cowboy, I remember that.
Muhammad seems to be in really good shape, and just the fact that he did 7 out of 8, I guess, and the rust with Edwards, it just kind of pushes me to the over. But good points. I mean, something to look out for. I'm still going to make this
I don't even like the fight. I'm just pointing out some things,
No, I appreciate that. Anything real quick, UFC 260 or anything?
Yeah, man, I like my guy Brian T. City Ortega. Only one loss in his career, and that was one of Holloway's best performances ever. He was out a long time, and the Korean Zombie was so on fire since he got done with that military stint. If I'm not mistaken, Korean Zombie had only lost once, and it was on that Yair Rodriguez, the ultimate Hail Mary spinning elbow at the buzzer when he was about to lose 4 rounds to 1. And Ortega just dusted Korean Zombie. And what was so wild about it, it was mostly stand-up. And Ortega is known for his jiu-jitsu. Like, he is right there with the Damian Mayas. He is a Gracie jiu-jitsu guy. And it showed how much improvement Ortega has made in his stand-up, because Zombie is a stand-up. And,
I was on Zombie that fight and lost. I mean, I laid it. I was wrong.
I love Ortega in general. I'm on Ortega. His height and reach advantage against Volkanovski, and I know it was with Holloway too, but I thought Holloway won that second fight.
Mm-hmm.
But his height and reach advantage is going to be off the charts, and I think he's way better on the ground. And he showed now he's a pretty badass with a stand-up. Now, if you can out box Korean Zombie for 25 minutes, that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, it really is. I 100% agree with that, man. Well, my man, that's good stuff. You're taking Ortega. I'll get into that to UFC 260 the week of. But thanks so much, Brian, for coming on, my man. Where could our listeners find your great information?
Yeah, man, I think you gave it all out at the beginning. But, yeah, at Vegas B. Edwards on Twitter. You can also follow the Major Wager Twitter account. I do a lot of tweeting about injuries and such there. That is at Major Wager Uno. I'm doing a new pod Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 Central on A to Z Sports, like ATOZ Sports. It's on all their social media accounts if any of your listeners want to follow that. And as always, Kiev, enjoyed it. Thanks for having me. And maybe Wisconsin and Florida. Hey, if we both make the Sweet 16, call me. We'll get me back on as we're prepping for our squads to play in the Sweet 16. Not like MSG that night. You forgot all about.
All right. Well, you know it, man. I'll be calling you. We'll share some beers and prep it up, man, and have a good time. So thanks so much for coming on, man. Enjoy. And you know what? I'll be watching you later on VSiN tonight. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, brother. Thanks.
All right, my friends. To finish up this podcast, you know it, we have to go into a little Big Ten plays for Thursday night. Well, Thursday during the day and night. And we are going to start right away with Maryland versus Michigan State. And I put this as pick'em. Total is 131. Ken Pom has -3 for Maryland, but there's no way it's going to be -3. As a matter of fact, I think that Michigan State might end up being favored here for a while. I have these teams pretty evenly matched anyway. Slight nod to Maryland, I guess, but Sparty had a great finish this year, winning 5 of their last 7 games, including teams named Michigan and Illinois. Now, Maryland had a pretty nice run, ripping 5 wins in a row until they lost their last 2 games against Northwestern and at home to Penn State.
Unreal.
You know, Sparty's got the better rebounding, 37.6 per game to Maryland's 33.5. But Maryland's got the better shooting, 45.8% to 42.5%. Now, if somehow you got State at plus money early, I kind of like that for line value because I can see the line moving. So it's kind of, we're looking at this as a line move situation. I think that we're going to see some Izzo money throughout the whole day, and they might even get up to a 3-point favorite. Now, if that happens, I'm probably going to have to play Maryland at 2.5 or 3 points here, okay? Maybe possibly go for a middle if you get some early Michigan State. So that's the play right there, if there is one. If you get Michigan State at plus money early, I recommend taking it. Next game, Indiana versus Rutgers. Rutgers is -1-ish total, maybe -2-ish, total 131. A tale of two teams going in different directions since mid-January. Neither team has any top 50 non-conference wins. Very concerning to get in the tournament, and I do have Rutgers right now in and Indiana out. After Indiana's second win against Iowa, they lost 6 of their last 8 games. They haven't won a game since February 17th against Minnesota. Brutal losing streak right there, okay? Rutgers, they were looking out of the tournament for a while until they started a nice little streak going to Indiana, right, like I stated earlier, Indiana in that streak, and then they won 7 of their last 11 Big Ten games. So pretty good streak for Rutgers, and I think that got them in. But according to Ken Pom, somehow Indiana has the better offensive efficiency only because they get free throws. They get to the free throw line 42% of the time, and they shoot better free throws. I guess Rutgers only gets to the free throw line 27% of the time. I think that's more of an officiating issue than Rutgers' true play close to the paint. I think they probably deserve a little bit better for when it comes to the free throw perspective. But either way, Rutgers leads Indiana in 3-point percentage, rebounding, field goal percentage, block shots, turnovers, assists, and overall defense. The only thing that Rutgers doesn't lead Indiana in is, like I said, free throw and free throw percentage, free throw getting to the line itself. So I'm taking Rutgers here as a short favorite. I like them all the way up to 3 points here, and we'll put 2 stars on that one.
Have you found Jesus yet, Doug?
I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for him, sir.
All right, my friends, that's all we have for today. Hopefully you got some information from this podcast for the conference tournaments. Real quick, I will be on Wisconsin as a dog as soon as that happens. I think it's the spot matches up for the seniors there. So, count that as a play as well. If you have any other questions or if you want to tweet us at the Odds Breakers, we'd love to break down one of these games for you. Please feel free to do so. Make sure you get into our NCAA Bracket Challenge for $500. Make sure you check out Brian Edwards at brianedwardsports.com and Major Wager. Everyone have a fantastic weekend watching the games and go get some winners.